Something we are all very familiar with as Dark Crystal fans is how much the Garthim Master and the Chamberlain hated each other. I actually did an in-depth video on the reasons behind it, and it basically stems from their two completely different mindsets on how to behave as Lords of the Crystal. But what if there was something else, something deeper that sparked their hatred? One very interesting fact about Skek-Ung is that he actually holds two titles. Not only is he the Garthim Master, but also the General, a fact made even more confusing after we started Age of Resistance and discovered another Skeksis had that title, Skek-Var. Skek-Var was the original military leader and the second hand of the Emperor, overseeing the soldiers and war campaigns while Skek-Ung remained off-screen. It was only after Skek-Var's murder that Skek-Ung took up the mantle as the general to fill the vacant and very important position. And when the Garthim Wars began, that is when his title officially shifted to the Garthim Master. But something interesting about that fact is that Skek-Ung must have known something was wrong, as the position needed to be filled in the first place. But why? How could another Skeksis be killed? Of course, we all know now that it was the Chamberlain who murdered Skek-Var. And as far as we know, no one knew except for the Chamberlain himself. But because the Skeksis were always considered unkillable, Skek-Ung must have determined that the culprit had to have been another Lord of the Crystal. What other answer could there possibly be? To crumble to complete dust like that means that he suffered a very fatal wound, and as strong as the Gelfling were, they couldn't land those kind of blows, as demonstrated by Tavra when she originally stabbed him. Yes, he was definitely in trouble, but he could have recovered easily, even if the Chamberlain hadn't been there to offer immediate assistance. It could have only been one other thing, a Skeksis-sized blade. A blade that the Gelfling couldn't wield. During the last battle in Age of Resistance, Deet was the only Gelfling wielding the kind of power that could do any severe damage, and Skek-Var wasn't present for that moment, a detail some of the other Skeksis surely must have remembered. So with all of that in mind, it wouldn't be very difficult for a cunning mind like Skek-Ung's to determine that it was in fact another Skeksis, and since he and the Chamberlain always had a deep history of animosity and political difference, he would have been the prime suspect. So, is this where his true hatred for the Chamberlain comes from? Did he know, or at least have a very strong feeling, that it was he who murdered Skek-Var? Perhaps another Skeksis even witnessed something and told him later. But, with no solid proof, he could do little else but stand by, as fear of prosecution without evidence would have kept him from speaking out against a fellow lord. All he could do was hate him in silence. So now I turn this conversation over to all of you. What do you think? Did Skek-Ung know that it was the Chamberlain who murdered Skek-Var, the original general? And what kind of animosity did that sow between them? Leave all of your thoughts, ideas, notions, and opinions down below in the Great White Void. And a very special thanks to RJ Robinson, Sam Rizzardi, and the Greater Grievo Beast for the ideas behind this video. As always, until next we meet, take care, and I'll see you guys back here for the next video very soon. For Thra, for Jim, forever.